Singapore filmmaker Anthony Chen's latest movie will premiere this month at the Cannes Film Festival. The Breaking Ice comes exactly 10 years after Ilo Ilo, which won Best Debut Feature in Cannes. Now, will The Breaking Ice do better? We speak to Anthony Chen himself next on Zoom. He is in Hong Kong. Good evening, Mr. Chen. Thank you so much for joining us. This is your first mainland Chinese production. We understand that it's about this blossoming relationship between the three characters set over a few days in the winter snow. Why the title The Breaking Ice?
Well, it's The Breaking Ice because I wanted to make a film in winter. I wanted to make a film out of my comfort zone. I decided I would do it in China. I decided I'd go to the coldest place in China. And the first thing I thought of was the idea of ice and the idea that, water solidifies into ice very quickly. And at the same time, with a little bit of sun, a little bit of heat, it melts back to water again. And that was the feeling I was trying to capture with this film, where you have three strangers, three young people who gather over a short few days and develop sort of a deep bond relationship. And very soon, they leave one another. But what is left, it's how they have changed one another, the emotions and the interactions that they had, over the past few days.
Mr. Chen, very quickly, I was interested when you mentioned ice melting. Now, it's called Breaking Ice, but if you look at the poster for your film, the Chinese characters are Ran Dong, which, correct me if I'm wrong, would be burning winter. So it's burning as opposed to breaking. What really do you mean? Is it breaking or burning ice? Why the difference in the translation?
Yeah, because I think we have the English sort of like idiom, right? Icebreaker, where we're sort of starting to know one another. And then in Chinese, it's called rantong because, exactly what I was trying to say, it's the idea of, how do you find a bit of warmth, during a cold, harsh winter.
Mr. Chen, let's talk about the category that it is in. It's showing in this special category at Cannes known as Un Certain Regard, which is a selection. It highlights bold and innovative films. It's also important as a springboard for filmmakers. Tell us more about it.
It's a very, very interesting category where it's a competitive category for sort of like artistic films for filmmakers around the world. I think what is interesting is it also spotlights what you call, daring adventurous cinema. And I think in this film, I've literally gone out of my comfort zone. I've made a film in the most freeing way. I decided not to make the film in Singapore. I decided to make it, in a foreign country, in a foreign terrain, in the north of China, in minus 18 degrees, in a completely different climate that I'm not used to. I think this film is actually very, very brave and gutsy. It's a real departure from the films that I've made before, and it's been a real fun and a real leap of faith and a wow adventure.
All right, out of your comfort zone, it's filmed in China. I don't know if one can also assume that you're making this film for the Chinese market specifically. You can answer that question first, but following that, were you happy with the support that you got while filming it and I suppose marketing it so far?
It's been really good so far, like with this film. Yes, the film would be released in China to a wide audience theatrically. But I'm hoping that, in the same reason, the film it's premiering in Cannes, and in the very, very same reason, like, it's exposed at International Film Festival. I'm hoping that, the film doesn't only exist for China. I think it's a film that it's very moving and universal, and hopefully audiences everywhere in Singapore, outside of Singapore, around the world will get to appreciate it. Did I get a lot of support? Yes, I've been I've been very pleased with the whole team that I've been working on this film. I wrote and directed and co-produced this film, but I'm working with an entirely fresh team of crew and cast that I've never worked before. I have a very, very supportive studio and financier that allowed me to leave the dream that I wanted to leave, to make the film that I wanted to make. Even though it was so crazy, it wasn't made in the ways that I made before. We didn't have a complete script when we started. I really only finished the script 10 days before we started shooting. It was born out of a lot of improv, a lot of impulse. I think I'm very, very fortunate, and I had some of the best crew that have worked with some of the top directors such as Lo Yan, Diao Yinan, and Jia Zhangke. I couldn't have asked for more, and now I'm very excited that we are bringing the film to Cannes. It's going to premiere there, and my three lovely young actors, even though they're rather big stars in China, but it's going to be their first time at Cannes, so it's going to be very, very exciting for all of us.
Well, we wish you the very best with the performance of The Breaking Ice. Mr. Chen, thank you very much for talking to us. Singapore filmmaker Anthony Chen, they're all set to make waves at Cannes.